Just 2 more weeks remain here in the World GT Championship to decide who is going to be our champion here for Season 14 of this outstanding championship. And we are right here for 2 feature rounds around this magnificent track at Imola. Paul Smith and Peter Mackay here on commentary as always. And Peter, we're getting down to the business end of season. It's certainly looking interesting so far.
That it is looking very interesting at the moment, Paul, particularly in the AM class where it's very, very tight between Sophia Ridpath and Karol Piekalka. 2 feature races tonight, and then they've got 3 sprints to think about next week at Spa.
Yeah, certainly you can see we started all the way back at the end of July for the start of the season. We've worked our way around the world, and now we're finishing off with 3 European rounds. Last week was the endurance race, the magnificent finish to that endurance race at Monza. Now here at Imola before we head to Spa, as Peter mentions there, in just 1 week's time. Speaking of championships, this is the last week that a drop score will count, so you need to make the most of it. And James Bume for Altitude Esports has made the most of it. He's got a 74-point lead over Pure Sims Esports' Ross McFarlane. Jack Sedgwick, courtesy of his good run last time out, has moved up into 3rd place in his Inex Racing Ferrari, ahead of Alex Davidson. Ethan Critchley is 5th, ahead of Mark Fletcher. Leif Sebastian, Axel Slieptrovich, Jesse Stevens and Arthur Thurtle round out the top 10. In Pro-Am, it is a big gap between the privateer of Dennis Grabowski and the Altitude Esports white driver of Adam Watson. 128 points separate those two coming into this penultimate week of the championship. Fat Atom Racing's Andy Archer is in third ahead of Michael Gray, with Daniel Sedgley, Jack Osborne, Tim Perry, Chris Gooch, Paul Webster, should I say, and Ben Gregory in your top 10. And as Peter pointed out, this is your closest championship in the drivers' standings. The AM Championship between the Olympus Esports Titan driver Sophia Ridpath, who's having her title just whittled away her lead. 29 points now between her and Carol Pakalka in that full tilt V-Sim Sport car. Then a big gap back to Adam Hedgecock in his Altitude Esports blue car in third, ahead of William Guthrie, Paul Quist, Jesse Payne Wilkins, Lars Van Ryn, Josh Boot, Paddy Faulkner and Nathan Healy. The Pro Teams Championship, just 92 points separate the Pure Sims Esports and Altitude Esports outfits, with the Altitude Esports white team a huge gap between them and second place. 3M UK ahead of Apex One Simitech and Team Redline round out the 6 teams there. In your AM Teams Championship, it is Olympus Esports Titan, who just have a 70-point lead over Fat Atom Racing. Full Tilt V Motorsports in third ahead of Full Tilt V Simsport, Altitude Esports Blue, Full Tilt V Autosport, AI Race Summaries, DCW Racing, Olympus Esports Atlas, 3M Blue, and Performance Link Esports round out the 10 teams in AM. But we've got a couple of minutes remaining here, Peter. We're in qualifying, and so far, Josh Thompson leads the way ahead of Jack Sedgwick. Those two, you just can't keep them apart from each other, can you?
They certainly do love battling away on track, don't they? What a finish we had last week between those two, with our charge to the line. And well, will we see more of the same today? It is a very long drag out of the final corner to the finish line, so maybe we will, and we've got 2 goes at it as well.
We certainly do, of course. Don't forget you get the spin of the reverse grid wheel to decide how we start the second race of the evening. Even though we have got 28 cars in the session, only 27 will actually be taking the start. Ben Gregory has had to withdraw from tonight's event. So the driver who has competed in every season of this championship, unfortunately, and the only one who has done so, unfortunately, not able to compete tonight. But 27 cars, not the biggest of grids here in the World GT Championship, but certainly no lacking in quality.
Yeah, very strong quality at the front of the field. You look at drivers like Josh Thompson, Ross McFarlane, Jack Sedgwick, they are really, really strong, but they're all playing second fiddle this season to James Boomey, who's 2 weeks away, or 2 race meetings away from sealing the championship if he can get it done.
Well, we will get ourselves set up here then for the start of this first of 2 races tonight. 2 40-minute races, and we'll take you through your starting grid. And it will be Josh Thompson who starts on pole position then. He is going to be sharing that front row with Ross McFarlane, who was able to get a lap time in right at the death there. So the front row of Josh Thompson, Ross McFarlane. Jack Sedgwick third. Alongside him is James Bume. So 2 championship rivals of McFarlane and Bume starting in line with each other. Matthias Lukchak and Alex Davidson share row number 3. Row number 4 is going to be Ethan Critchley in his venerable McLaren, with Mark Fletcher alongside him. 5th row, Arthur Thurtle, and then the top of your Pro-Ams on the grid. Matthew Loveridge has shown a real turn of pace these last couple of weeks. He's up there in 10th place. Great starting position for the Pro-Am. Tim Perry and Jack Osborne, then the next 2 Pro-Ams on row number 6. 7th row of the grid for Adam Watson and Daniel Sedgley, with Carol Pakalka the top of the AMs on row number 8. Andy Archer alongside Carol, with Sophia Ridpath, the AM Championship leader, on row number 9, with Paul Webster alongside her. Row 10 is going to be Marcin Rebicek with Dan Blackwell. Joe Newman and Michael Gray then share row number 11, with row 12 of Lars van Rijn and Adam Hedgecock. 13th row of the grid is Jesse Payne-Wilkins and Paul Clist, and the final driver on the grid to take the start, Denis Grabowski, who has had a nightmare in qualifying, starting all the way from the back of the grid. Expect to see him moving forward in this race, Peter.
Yeah, he's your runaway Pro-Am leader at the moment, so yeah, he's going to have really strong pace, will Denis Grabowski, but Imola, you've got to be pretty aggressive to get moves done and move up through the field, so it's going to be interesting to watch him.
It's not the easiest of tracks to overtake at here, so certainly these drivers will be tested here, but it's going to be Josh Thompson and Ross McFarlane who lead this one away. Now, we've seen it in the past that Josh has held these drivers right to the line for the green flag. He's not doing so this time. He's going to get on the loud pedal, and we're underway then for the first of two races tonight here in the World GT Championship. Across the line they go to start this race. It is Thompson ahead of McFarlane. Bume has already made a jump on Jack Sedgwick. He's moved up into third place as we head into Tamburello for the first time in this evening. And will everybody make it through? Well, it looks like they have done, but as we head towards Villeneuve now, the second chicane here, and it's still side-by-side action for Davidson and Lukchak, with Ethan Critchley watching on with patience. I say patience. He's diving to the inside of Tosa, and Lukchak's going to take the wide line and contact between the two of them. Critchley's in the wall. Lukchak's in the wall. Oh no! What on earth happened between those two?
Oh dear! It just looked like Lukchak got into the quarter panel of Critchley there, and round he went, and yeah, it didn't take much persuasion to spin that McLaren around there coming out of the Tosa hairpin. What a pity for Ethan Critchley after a strong qualifying. He's in the top 5 in the pro class as well, so in his first full year in that class, it's such a pity that it's gone wrong there in this first race of the day.
It will have to be a case of did he squeeze Lukchak, or did Lukchak come back onto him a little bit off of Tosa? We'll have to wait and see on that one. But at the front, Thompson's trying to make a breakaway from Ross McFarlane here. It's the two championship protagonists in Pro, McFarlane and Bume, who are absolutely together in second and third place. And if I'm James Bume, I'm just happy sitting there behind Ross right now. It's not a commanding lead in the championship, but it's a big enough lead to be starting thinking championship wise.
Big enough that you don't have to be taking risks for James Bume. If he can just lock in behind Ross McFarlane here and follow him, that's absolutely fine for Bume. And of course, with this being a feature race, you do have a pit stop, and if he's in behind McFarlane the whole way, he's going to be using less fuel and might make a quicker pit stop. Also, we've seen the Porsche be that bit more frugal than the rest of the cars in the field as well, so Bume does have that ace card up his sleeve as well.
And of course, you're not really worried too much about tyre wear as well, with it being a 40-minute race. Here we go, Peter. Let's see what happened at Tosa.
So they come out side by side, and I don't know what Lukchak's supposed to do to avoid that. I think Critchley can only really look at himself there.
Yeah, there's a lot of track to his left there, isn't there? On that one look. So back to live pictures, I can tell you that Critchley did crawl back to the pit lane, and is still in the pit box now, so obviously has not taken his fast repair. So as your leaders are coming round to end the lap, though, this is the end of the second lap then, and already Josh Thompson's got a 1.4 second lead over Ross McFarlane right now. That is quite a big margin, and if Josh could keep up this level of pace over Ross, he'll have break the slipstream, which is crucial down that start and finish straight to be able to make any moves. And Ross will be just desperately saying to Josh, just make a mistake, something, just give us a bit of a chance here.
Well, Josh Thompson's in really strong form. We saw last week in the endurance race where we just saw Thompson and Cedric clear off into another universe of speed from everybody else, and of course they had a fantastic run to the line and a photo finish which went in the way of Thompson. It just looks like Thompson's kicking on from that and looking so strong, and McFarlane and the chasing pack don't seem to have an answer right now. McFarlane needs wins. He has to throw caution to the wind here. He cannot afford to give away any points that might be out there, so McFarlane's going to have to push to try and catch Thompson if he can.
And of course, if he loses that slipstream, Ross, he loses that little bit of fuel saving, and all of a sudden, as you like to say, Peter, he's the locomotive heading the train of cars behind him. He's making life a bit easier for those behind.
The good news for Ross McFarlane is, though, that he's pulling away from James Boumé, who in turn is perhaps just dropping into the clutches of Jack Cedric a little bit. Cedric is also in with a longer shot of the championship. He's 100 points behind, whereas McFarlane's 74 points behind our leader Boumé. So for Cedric, this is very, very important to try and put a move and not quite rough up James Boumé, but really put him under pressure and really try and get it in his head a little bit.
Yeah, certainly you want to see him sort of getting involved in that. Let's have a look at a replay. This is Joe Newman, of course, we're new to the series, partway through the season, side by side with, I think that was Pacalca perhaps. And it was just that side-to-side contact whilst you're going through the first corner at Tamburello that unsettled the car. He spins off to the inside, and the other car carries on. It's a good spread of cars, though, to be fair. You've got Mercedes, BMW, Porsche, Ferrari, BMW, Mercedes, and then Porsche, McLaren, and Porsche to finish off the top 10. The balance of performance seems to be really quite working well here at Imola.
I think it's been good all season, actually. Then there's been the cool thing is there's been circuits that suit certain cars better than others, and other, for example, the Porsche didn't necessarily have the pace at Monza or at Le Mans on the long straights, but it did have fuel economy. And then on the more balanced circuit, the Porsche has been very good. Great to see the Mercedes back up there as well, because it's not been a particularly popular choice from the start of the season, but those who have chosen it, they are now being rewarded a little bit with a bit more on-par performance.
Matthew Loveridge, I mentioned that he had a good qualifying, started 10th. He's up to 6th already in this. Okay, he was helped by the incident between Critchley and Lutchak, but he's still had to make some moves out of all of that as well in his Olympus eSports car. And that just sees him up into the top 6, but they are about 3 seconds back from Alex Davidson. So we're getting these sort of packs of cars out there right now, as he's just getting a few technical gremlins with his internet again. We have seen this every now and again with James, but he's right onto the tail of Ross McFarlane again.
Yes, he is. So he's rallied a little bit there as Thompson's just continued to pull away more in the front, but Boumé, he doesn't need to do anything crazy here as well. He can just sit on the case of Ross McFarlane, and the thing for McFarlane is as well, he knows that too. And for McFarlane, he's thinking, I need something more than this. But we've always seen Ross McFarlane play the long game. Remember, we get a partially reversed grid in race 2. How much will it be reversed? Well, that will be up to the spinny wheel, of course. And that's where things can really shake up and mix up in that reverse grid, particularly with those first 2 chicanes here at Imola.
Yes, absolutely. It's certainly, I said it just briefly, it is quite a difficult track to overtake at. You would think that it's relatively easy with you having this long section from Rivazza. You do go through a few turns from Rivazza along to the finish line, but even so, the slipstream, it's difficult because it's easy for the car leading to just hold the inside line into Tamburello, and then it's very difficult then to go around the outside of the first part of Tamburello. Yes, it gives you the inside for this part, but then you're back on the outside for the final part of the corner.
and it really pinches. It's really kind of subtle. It's subtly narrow there, and again coming into Villeneuve, likewise very, very tricky there, and we often see calamities at that particular corner, particularly on the opening lap. So McFarlane holding off Boumet for now, but actually the man on the move is Jack Sedgwick in the NX Ferrari there in the black and red machine, looking very menacing in that 296 GT3.
Yeah, Ross McFarlane's last lap was a 41.7, 41.5 for Boumet on that last lap. A 41.4 for Jack Sedgwick. Davidson as well is quicker than his teammate at 41.5, so you can tell that Ross is the one forging the path here. 2.6 seconds Josh Thompson has pulled away from this group. I mean, that must be so disheartening for Ross McFarlane to just see. I know Josh is a quality driver, don't get me wrong, he is a top quality driver. You don't accidentally end up at Team Redline, but still Ross is a very, very astute driver in this series, and he's a rapid driver in himself,
and in previous seasons has had the measure of Josh. And that's the thing, is there's a big difference in this. Of course, Josh Thompson though is not in the championship conversation. He's come in mid-season and he has driven very well, but is, come into the season way too late to forge any kind of championship charge. So McFarlane kind of almost has to put Thompson out of his mind and think, right, okay, he's gone. Let's try and finish first on the road behind Josh Thompson, and make sure finish ahead of Boumet, and then see what comes his way in the reverse grid race. After the race last week, where McFarlane made a couple of quite uncharacteristic errors, he was actually fairly pragmatic, and not defeatist, but I would say pragmatic in his chances for the championship and how they're relatively long odds now.
Yeah, as you get further into the season, it just becomes what seems like not the biggest of gaps gets effectively bigger by the fact that you've got less points on offer towards the end of the championship. Matt Loveridge, your top pro-am, currently leading Mark Fletcher and Fletcher's teammate Adam Watson. And I wonder if Watson is getting a little bit of an education from his team boss in Mark Fletcher here, who, by the way, I don't know if you saw, Peter, in the virtual paddock, Mark Fletcher was letting us know that he's had to do emergency repairs to his rig, and he's basically said if he has an accident, it's because his chair has fallen off of his rig entirely.
Oh well, let's hope. Let's hope not. That would be. It's a good pre-excuse though, if that is the case. If he does crash, but the rig holds together, he can always blame it on that. I did hear one driver, BTRD Rallycross driver, yesterday at Knockhill complain about there was the steering column was coming shiggly, but yeah, not sure on that one. The car looked absolutely fine, but anyway, that is a really good run from Daniel, from Loveridge in the Mercedes, running really well, as is Pacalka. So we've got, interestingly, Paul, we've got Mercedes leading in all three classes.
Yes, that's a very good point you make. Yeah, Pacalka in 14th in the Mercedes, and that full tilt V. I always get the team SimSport car. Some aggressive defensive work from Daniel Sedgley on Andy Archer into the braking zone. Around the outside, Archer. Well, that's definitely an off track on the outside of Piratella into Aqua Minerale. And out of there now, has he got himself a slowdown penalty? He's not, so he's got very lucky there to run that far wide as has Andy Archer, and to not pick up a penalty.
Funny circuit this for track limits. There's certain areas where you feel you can take big liberties, and other places where you absolutely can't. And it really, it's one of the things the drivers have to work hard on in practice, of knowing what they can and cannot get away with during a race. Because as you say, Paul, slowdown penalty, it can be so punishing. You might think, I've only got to slow down for a couple of seconds, but 6, 7, 8 cars can rush by you in that time very easily. But Pacalka, his march at the front of the AM class looking very, very good. He's closed the gap down bit by bit over the second half of the season to Sophia Redpath. There's 29 points, and Sophia, she's had a great season, but she is licking her wounds ever so slightly. She had not the best day of things yesterday in the Porsche Sprint Challenge Great Britain, driving the Porsche Cup car, which not for a family audience, but she definitely did. Her report was she definitely wasn't a fan of the car at all. So she's back in her beloved BMW tonight, who I think she much prefers.
Yeah, and a little bit down the field though, lost 2 places from the start, so down to 19th for Sophia. Worth pointing out, Denis Grabowski up to 15th place now behind Pacalka. That's a gain of 12 places from the start of this race. It's we said it'd be interesting to see how he gets on out there, and well, certainly he's going through the field like a hot knife through butter right now, because we've only been 15 minutes in this race, and to gain 12 places already is some pretty good going.
Yeah, Grabowski's been the class of the field really in Pro-Am. If you were to take the Pro-Am and Am classes as FIA driver grading, say gold, silver and bronze, Denis Grabowski would be what is known in the trade as a fake silver. Like a Nico Verone, who's a single seater star but still somehow hangs on to a silver graded license. Valentino Rossi, another one. A fake silver, Gunnar Jeanette, etc. There's quite a few of them. It's hit the pit wall. That's
Rubicek, Marcin Rubicek. What on earth has happened there? I think Peter, you might be right there. He might have clipped that inside pit wall.
He did. No, he definitely did. He definitely hit the inside wall. I don't know if it was just from a blip in concentration or a hardware failure. Car number 73, BMW there of Luchak. Whew. Never seen that before.
It wasn't Luchak that because of course Luchak was involved in the incident with Ethan Critchell at the start of the race. That was
Rubicek.
well, here we go.
Rubicek,
yeah, here we go then. So coming along, and you're going to see that pit wall on the right hand side and just drifts up. I wonder, well, it's either a hardware failure or he was busy adjusting something.
It could have been. The thing is, it seemed like a very abrupt turn and a very consistent turn. Yeah, maybe
gradual. It might have been that he was adjusting something, or
received
whatever.
A text message from a love interest he'd been waiting for, maybe.
Well, I wouldn't know what that's like, but anyway, as we go on,
you don't have
board,
to wait, Paul.
So
you're right.
Just turns into it. Almost looks like just distracted by something. And now early pitter, Denis Grabowski. Andy Archer's on pit road as well. So
I think Grabowski's getting held up. I think that's why he's thinking, right, I'll get out of sequence and get a bit of clean air.
Yeah, because I'm just looking at a track map that I've got access to here. He's just coming out of the pit road. Paul Clist is coming down the pit straight now, as they're going to be leaving both Andy Archer and Denis Grabowski. There's a big gap of clean air in front of them, as here comes Clist down the inside, and Archer's already on the defensive here. He's going, not a chance there, Paul.
This is not what Grabowski wanted to get himself mixed up in, coming out of the pits there. Now, Paul, I know you love a 5-lap average. I love hearing your 5-lap averages. Thompson's has got to be mighty impressive now, surely.
Josh Thompson's 5-lap average, I can tell you, for his most recent 5 laps is a 141.273. You consider his best lap is a 141.145. That is some incredible consistency there.
Yeah. And that's why he's leading by 3.3 seconds, and he's managed to drive without hitting the pit wall.
He's just dropped his average as well that last lap, so it's just come down a few hundredths as his average there. McFarlane 5 lap average is 41.3, 41.4 for James Bume, 41.5 and 41.5 for Sedgwick and Davidson, and then it's from Matt Loveridge down into the 42s as Pacalka and Gray pit. Actually, a little bit surprised by Pacalka pitting this early because they had a little bit of a space in front of them, didn't they? They had a bit of clean air.
Maybe, I mean, the further up the field Pacalka gets, maybe he's thinking, you know, actually, if you're mixing it up with the fast guys, it can maybe be just upset the rhythm a little bit. I don't know. Could just be how they've done it in practice and they're comfortable with that strategy. It's bang on halfway. Maybe it makes the fuel easier to calculate. There's a few reasons why it could be. I wonder if we can maybe create a special award, the Paul Smith Salver for best 5 lap average of the race.
Well, first of all, I'm not paying for it because I'm a Yorkshireman. Secondly, that involves me having to... Secondly, I'd have to keep an eye on the 5 lap averages of everybody for the entirety of the race. As I've broken Peter Mackay. Not for the first time this season, I have broken him.
That's important data.
I'll tell you something as well. Hello to Ashley Blake Hood in the chat, by the way, because he feels the pain of Martin Repicek because he goes down in RaceSpotTV infamy, does Ashley Blake Hood, as being one of the first people in a RaceSpotTV broadcast to roll the car in pit road at Spa on the endurance on the turn 1 at La Source. Back in 2015, that was.
It's happened to the best of them, Shane Baird included. Yeah. Yeah.
But I think Ashley was the first one that was broadcasted on RaceSpot that had it happen, so... He knows the pain of hitting a pit wall, let's just say that. Paul Webster, he's on pit road right now. He's had his pit stop done. And out he goes. You're looking at around 13, 14 seconds for the pit stops, which actually seems a little long, doesn't it, Peter?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, that's kind of like half a tank of fuel. That does seem a little bit, unless deciding to wait for 2 tyres. It is, what are we? It is anti-clockwise circuit, so you maybe put 2 tyres on the right-hand side. There's some quite big high-load corners, particularly coming through Piratella. You're putting quite a lot of stress through the right-hand side. Maybe, I don't know. Could be that you would wait for those 2 tyres to be fitted and therefore fill the fuel in. Not sure.
So basically,
not sure. This is not in the plan for Grabowski, though. He is losing a lot of time here, getting put out behind the Fat Atom McLaren. Now, which Fat Atom McLaren is that?
It's Andy Archer.
Andy Archer. So Grabowski is the Alonso Ferrari to the Petrov Renault of Archer.
I was going to say the Enrique Benaldi is Andy Archer to the David Coulthard of Dennis Grabowski. If you're old enough to remember that reference, then well done, congratulations. Andy Archer, though, one thing that does go in his advantage is down this straight, no matter what slipstream that Grabowski has, he just cannot get by that McLaren because it is rapid down here through turn 1 in towards Tamburello, and look at it, Archer's just parking the car in the middle of the road. Grabowski, last of the late breakers. That Porsche's so good on its brakes, clips the curb, yes, but he gets the job done finally there, Peter.
That was full risk there from Grabowski. Great dummy, fantastic little dummy there, and then had to get on the brakes as late as he dared. And you're right, both of the particular attributes of those 2 cars shown there, the straight line grunt of the McLaren and probably its aerodynamic low drag kind of configuration, and the outrageously good braking performance and stability of the Porsche.
Josh Thompson onto pit road along with James Bume and Jack Sedgwick. So some of your leaders now heading onto pit road with 16 minutes to go. Don't forget that the fuel tank is limited to 45%. So McFarlane and Davidson, Loveridge, Fletcher, Watson and Thurtle all able to get an extra lap out of their fuel.
Thompson's Mercedes there went straight up on the jacks and then straight back down again in one movement. I've not seen that before, I must be honest, here on the iRacing platform.
Well, we'll have to see. His pit stop is
did he change his mind?
13 and a half seconds for Josh on his pit stop as he comes out. To James Bume. 4 seconds separating Bume and Josh Thompson. Now, is this going to give Bume an opportunity to try and get a little bit of speed on Ross McFarlane? Although you would imagine that McFarlane would be a little bit quicker having a lighter car at this moment in time.
Yeah, this is an opportunity now for McFarlane to really push hard. Likewise for Davidson too, to make some moves to try and get a little bit up in the mix and in the podium fight. I mean, I think regardless of any kind of strategical quirk, there is going to be no stopping Josh Thompson in this race if he keeps this up coming into Aquamillan Rally. Just looking so smooth and tidy in at that Mercedes and just super quick. And we saw some great onboard footage of with Josh last week, and in the slow speed corners you just can't believe how much speed he's able to carry through what seems like a normal kind of stop-go corner, but just carries that minimum speed so well.
Here he comes then, McFarlane onto pit road along with his teammate of Alex Davidson. So those that were able to go a lap longer in theory, and I say theory, should have a slightly shorter pit stop here on the pump. And away goes McFarlane. He was on the 3/100ths of a second quicker in the box than Josh Thompson. Thompson goes past pit exit. Here's James Bume at speed in his Porsche, and there's nothing that McFarlane can do there. Bume has done a fantastic job in getting the leapfrog of McFarlane there into second.
That's kind of the story of Ross McFarlane's season in a shot there. Just seeing Boom just putting together a decent race and looking through, and there goes Boomey charging by in that altitude Porsche. Really impressive stuff there from Boomey to be able to get the in and out lap phase done right, and he's jumped McFarlane. Now McFarlane, this is where he's got to dig deep. He's a 4-time champion. He knows how it is to get he's a bit more relaxed. He's won the championship several times before. Boomey's never done it before. This is where McFarlane's got to dig very deep and put Boomey under the ultimate pressure and try and run him down.
So after the pit stop cycle then, it is Josh Thompson who leads by 4.2 seconds over James Bume in second place. Ross McFarlane third place after being in second for a long time in this race. He's feeling the effects of that pit stop, and Bume just having that extra lap to get the hammer down. Your top Pro-Am is still Matt Loveridge in 6th place, ahead of Adam Watson, who is looking to try and get a Pro-Am win here. 3rd place in Pro-Am, Tim Perry down in 10th place right now, leading a queue of Pro-Ams there, including Dennis Grabowski in that queue of traffic. Karol Pakalka is your top AM driver, currently where they started in 15th place. And then Sophia Ridpath is in 18th, crucially behind two of Pakalka's Full Tilt compatriots. So Full Tilt have got a bit of backup for Pakalka here over Sophia Ridpath, and Dan Blackwell, good drive from Dan, in 19th. That's 3rd place in AM. So that's how the top 3 stand right now. There's the 3M driver going down in towards Tamburello, but Bume is not hanging around here, Peter. He's trying to now pull that gap on Ross McFarlane, and get this, Bume was only 9/1000ths of a second slower than Josh Thompson that last lap.
That's impressive. That is very, very impressive. Gap 4 seconds at the front of the field between Thompson and Boumé. Great battle here between Loveridge and Adam Watson. And for Loveridge, he's got on his pit board what nobody wants to see: A Watson +0. Run for the hills. We know that Adam was not backwards and coming forwards. He's right there, and he's got a bit of backup with him as well, with team boss Mark Fletcher in the 111. No dismount just yet, anyway.
Yeah, Mark Fletcher's just keeping a watchful eye. We've said this throughout the season, haven't we? That whenever Fletcher's around Watson, it's team boss just keeping an eye on you, Adam. Nothing silly now. Just get it nicely done here. But yeah, as you can see, the gap back to Tim Perry is actually not that big, really. So if anything happens, well, I say not that big, really. It's greater than what it shows on the graphic there. But well, Loveridge and Watson absolutely together, and Watson just clipping that sausage curb. That's one thing you generally don't want to do here at Imola, especially at Tamburello, because those sausage curbs do have a habit of unsettling the car.
Yes, they do. They very much do. And the Porsche is maybe the most stable of the cars on the grid, but it doesn't matter if you strike it the wrong way; it can really throw you off course. But essentially, Loveridge is defending very, very well in that multicoloured Mercedes, the big 6.2 litre brute with the muscle of Afterbach under the hood.
I've just seen Josh Thompson's last lap time, 1:41.063. He's getting quicker, Peter. How is this possible that he's getting so much quicker out there? I mean, Boumé, to be fair to him, 1:41.1. He's pulling out 0.2 of a second over Ross McFarlane.
Yeah, but tell me the 5-lap average, though.
Well, we've just had the pit stops, remember, so it's affected by that. So
right,
we have to wait. Yeah.
We haven't got the sample data.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Enough for 5 minutes, and we'll well, not even that. Enough for 3 minutes, and we'll have the data to hand for you, Peter.
Well, I'm on tenterhooks.
So yeah, so we've got this really close. It's a really close fight, but Watson. Oh, there's flash of the headlights from Watson. That's it. Move out the way, folks. You know, you've got to. That's the rule, isn't it, Peter? As soon as a headlight is flashed, that's it. You've just got to move over, stop, let them by.
Is that a warning to say I'm about to go full Tasmanian devil in a minute and stand back? Yeah, well, it's we know that Adam, there you go. Oh, tell you what, Loveridge is not being rattled by it, although it did just have a little bit of oversteer there coming out of Toza hairpin, and
oh no,
whoa, dear.
We both know Adam Watson's history here.
I've seen this film before.
It's the sequel, and we're just waiting for the moment. It's like, you know, all those different like scary movies that you have that have 17 sequels. The same thing happens every time. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, every Fast and the Furious movie, Vin Diesel snaps a gear change into 17th gear.
As we're going down into Rivazza once again towards the end of this race, I have good news for you, Peter. I have a 5-lap average.
Sandero is coming to... No, sorry.
No, I have a 5-lap average for you from Josh Thompson, and it is a 1:41.190.
That's...
compared to James Beumay's 1:41.320. Jack Sedgwick and Alex Davidson have had a change, and Davidson's running slow. I have a funny feeling that two drivers have just got together.
Oh dear, oh dear. Davidson, again, maybe the story of his season as well. He's back in 4th in the championship right now, 104 points off the lead.
Oh!
Really needed a big result tonight.
That was Watson around the outside attempt of Loveridge. It's all starting to... business is picking up here. And team boss Mark Fletcher's there going, yeah, that's not how you do it there, mate. But to be fair to Loveridge, respecter of no egos there, he is not getting intimidated and he's doing a sterling job holding on to that Pro-Am lead.
Yeah, very, very good defensive stuff. Right, this is what happened then with Davidson. Davidson on your right in the BMW, Sedgwick in the Ferrari. Sedgwick puts a wheel on the grass there. Does that unsettle him a bit? Oh dear.
I have a funny feeling that Davidson just didn't give enough space there. What was it Fernando said? You must always leave the space? I mean, it's tough. It's tough to go around the outside of that first part of Tamburello, isn't it? And Sedgwick was trying a long way around the outside move there.
He maybe was just a couple inches short of a car length there, maybe. But yeah, it's you're always right. You are taking a risk by trying to make an overtake there, because it does come back forth, right, left, right, left. So it really does pinch at the apex there. So yeah, I think Sedgwick would have gone in there knowing that he was taking the chance. It hasn't actually affected the order all that much, albeit Sedgwick be up past Davidson, but yeah, close one there to call. Well, we see hello to Ryan Walker, the other half of Double Scotch, who's got his popcorn ready for the send here. I hope you're washing it down with a Scotch, Ryan.
Other drinks are available.
I don't know.
Well, you would say that, Peter, as a former salesman. Oh dear. You can tell it's towards the end of the season, can't you?
Second last day of school.
Yeah. Yeah, next week it's bring your toys to class.
On uniform day.
I'll be bringing Mousetrap. I don't know what you'll be bringing, but there you go.
Oh, I might bring Skeletric. We'll set it up in the classroom.
Oh, even better. That's an interesting mix that I've just seen from Ryan in the chat there. I mean, I don't know what hydrate Scotch is, but it's mixed with Iron Brew. So I mean, you can't get much more Scottish than that, can you?
Yeah, that's yeah, that's doable. That's doable.
Right, we've got 3.5 minutes remaining in this race. We've got Josh Thompson leading by 3.8 seconds right now at the front. Dennis Grabowski's continuing his charge through the field. He's moved ahead of Tim Perry now, up into 10th place. That's third in class after starting 27th. That's 17 places gained there by Dennis. So good effort is that.
And he's now, if he finishes where he is, he's guaranteed it to be within the reverse grid draw. So that if you get a low turn, sometimes you can end up on the wrong side of that one if you get a low draw for the reverse grid number. But he's guaranteed whatever way it's drawn, he will be within that draw. And yeah, it's been a really strong drive from Grabowski. And in race 2, hard to go past him for the Pro-Am win.
Certainly. So Grabowski leading that charge is dominated, as we've said, dominating the Pro-Am Championship. And this Pro-Am lead battle is still going on. It's the closest 3-car fight that we've got out there on track. I would even argue it's the closest fight that we've got out on track right now. And that is Matt Loveridge still leading them ahead of Adam Watson, who has actually... So Loveridge has gained 4 places. Watson's gained 6 places in this race. And Mark Fletcher's, well, where he started, in that 8th place for Mark. So, yeah, we'll have to see how they get on for the rest of this one. Down towards Tamburello and Watson. He's doing all he can, Peter, but time and opportunities running out here.
Yeah, and he's right there in the slipstream of the Mercedes, and it's just pulling away from him. That Mercedes has got such fantastic straight line speed. And yeah, there is nothing. Watson actually can't get close enough to try and make a move on the brakes, he's just not quite close enough to use that great braking performance. So if Loveridge is able to keep mistake free over the next minute and a half, he will have this Pro-Am race win.
Yeah, absolutely. And just for those wondering, in these feature rounds, you get 20 instant points, and around this track it is actually easy to pick up instant points from running off track. Of course, you will have those abuse it. I was going to mention this last week, Peter, but I never got round to mention it. But when I used to race in touring car series, we'd get a bonus if we ended up with a completely clean 0x race. As soon as you saw 1x appear on your list, it was, right, well, forget about that. Let's race to the limit now.
Yeah, you start off with that, to be honest, delusion that you can possibly do that. I don't think you can possibly do that, and especially in this form of racing where it's so fiercely contested and this so tight as you go into certain sections of the track. But last lap, and this has been an amazing drive from Loveridge. I mean, just to hold off Adam Watson, to hold off Mark Fletcher has just been superb.
Ross McFarlane's actually got the fastest lap of the race here in the last few laps, a 1:40.844. So he's picked up the pace towards the end of the race, but it's a little bit too little too late for the four-time champion behind James Bume in the race here and in the standings as well. But heading out of Aqua Minerale for the final time in this opening race of the evening, Josh Thompson. He's just got a few more corners to go, and really he's been in a class of his own in this first race.
He has, yeah, absolutely imperious, the Team Redline driver. 3.8 seconds to the good from James Bume, but for Bume, championship-wise, this is just an A1 performance, exactly what he needed to continue shutting the door on this championship.
So Josh Thompson then out of the final corner at Rivata will come across the line and see the checkered flag, and it's a race win here for Josh Thompson in the first race of the evening in this penultimate week of the championship. The Team Redline driver, great result for him. Matt Loveridge now, how is he going to get on to the line? Is he going to be able to beat Adam Watson in that fight? And the answer is yes. So Matt Loveridge holds on to a Pro-Am win here for himself and for his team, crucially. That'll be some good points for them. Karol Pakalka will be your AM leader here in this race, coming across the line, and that's going to be 15th place for Karol, and that is a great result in their charge towards the AM Championship lead. But that race, it simmered along nicely there, Peter. I have a funny feeling that we're going to see a few more fireworks in the second race of the day.
Yeah, I think so. When the order's mixed up quite a bit, you're going to see, you're definitely going to see more trepidation, more potential peril for our drivers, and getting through those first few laps in that reverse grid race is going to be very, very challenging.
Well, the last of the drivers have crossed the line, so what we will do first of all is get the spin of the wheel and see who it is that's going to be on pole position for the second race of the evening. So, there goes the wheel, and who is it going to be? What position is it going to be that gets that gets that reverse grid? Oh, it's actually going to be a full reverse grid, so what that means, there we go, just confirmation. So it's drivers that are one lap down do qualify. Any more laps than that, they do not qualify for reverse grid. So we'll go through the results and see who it is that gets on pole position. But those provisional race results here for Josh Thompson for Team Redline wins the race by 4 seconds over James Bume in his Altitude Esports Porsche. Ross McFarlane, Pure Sims Esports, is in third place behind his championship rival Jack Sedgwick 4th ahead of Alex Davidson. Then it's the top of your Pro-Ams. Matt Loveridge for Olympus Esports. Tremendous results for them to get into 6th place and to win Pro-Am here, ahead of Pro-Am Championship contender Adam Watson for Altitude Esports White in 7th place overall. Matt Fletcher and Arthur Thurtle, then 2 more Altitude Esports drivers in 8th and 9th, with the privateer Dennis Grabowski finishing 3rd in class, 10th overall. In 11th place then, Tim Perry, ahead of Jack Osborne, Daniel Sedgley and Andy Archer. Karol Pakalka for Full Tilt V Sim Sports wins AM and gets another good haul of points in 15th, ahead of Paul Webster and Michael Gray. Sophia Ridpath, 18th for your AM Championship leader for Olympus Esports. She'll be seeing that lead just get whittled away that little bit more. Ahead of Dan Blackwell for 3M Blue, 3rd place in AM, 19th overall. Joe Newman, 20th. And in 21st, it's Lars Van Rijn with Adam Hedgecock. The front row of your second race of the evening will be Jesse Payne-Wilkins, and Paul Clist for Olympus Esports will start from pole position. The rest did not finish this race. Marcin Rebicek with that crash into the pit wall. Ethan Critchley and Matthias Lukczak, who had their lap 1 incident. And Ben Gregory did not take the race start. So that is the opening race of the evening done and dusted there, Peter. But I have to say, a little tip of the hat here to the Team Redline driver of Josh Thompson. Unbelievable, relentless pace from him.
And we know you don't hand them out willy-nilly, Paul, the tips of the the flat cap. But yeah, they're thoroughly deserved. Just imperious at the front of the field, so consistent all the way through, and yeah, nobody could get near him. When you look back to second place, equally impressive for James Boumé, again holding off Ross McFarlane. It looked like McFarlane was maybe going to get a few points back, but the gap increases yet again. A full reverse grid though coming up. That's going to be something to behold.
It certainly is going to be something to watch, is this one. I can't wait for it, that's for sure. But the big championship, in terms of pro championship moves, was James Boumé. Started 4th, directly behind Ross McFarlane, was able to get in front of him in the pit stop. So that Porsche, once again, proving to be frugal in all of that, and able to get ahead of Ross. James Boumé has been able to just do this week after week, hasn't he? Just get those good points results.
It's been a remarkable performance all season long from James Boumé. And is it a surprise? I suppose it maybe is. James was very strong over the last few seasons and improving all the time, but to do it consistently time after time, he's taken such a step up to the very top level of the World GT Championship. And it's huge credit to him, because that is a big jump to get up there and mix it with guys like McFarlane, Davidson, Sedgwick, Thompson, etc. And he's beaten them all this season.
Certainly has, and that's been tremendous to see James Boumé's run from, he showed the pace last season and then has been able to step it up a gear this season. Matt Loveridge, I mean, he's come into our chat saying that was tough. But 6th place, my goodness, what a drive that was from the Pro-Am driver.
Yeah, I saw him commenting in the virtual paddock that they're really struggling with the sliding. We did see that a few times, the rear of the Mercedes starting to wiggle a little bit under power. It's got a lovely linear power delivery though. It's got a naturally aspirated big capacity engine where the power just comes in nice and smooth, but hit plenty of it, but just really gets it down to the tarmac very nicely, but still just starting to go away there at the end. If we get higher track temperatures in race 2, well, that issue might be a little bit more difficult to keep on top of.
And again, Karol Pakalka, we've got to mention, AM driver, has been really just, as you say, just methodical and just chipping away at the AM Championship lead. It was 29 points coming into this week. I mean, if you're Sophia Ridpath, you must be looking over your shoulder thinking, I've got to find something here, haven't I?
A little bit, yeah. It's particularly in the second half of the season where Pakalka's been really, really strong, and it's just been cracking out those wins one after the other. And it hasn't necessarily been misfortune really for Sophia. It's just mainly been Carol's just been absolutely on it in the second half of the season. We've seen today here at Imola the Mercedes being particularly strong. Of course, it won in all three classes, having been hardly a mention in the beginning of the season. So there's definitely a little bit of things that's come through there, but we've still got a good balance of performance. But in that tight battle between Pakalka and Sophia Ridpath, it's better to have that advantage if there is one, and it does seem there's just maybe a tiny bit.
Well, we'll have to see how the next race goes with that full reverse grid and how drivers' performance will get on here. We'll be right back, though, in just a few minutes' time after we hear from the series sponsors. So then, just 4 more races to go here in season 14 of the World GT Championship. We've had the penultimate feature race of the season, and it went by the way of Josh Thompson. But a full reverse grid coming up here, Peter. That's 24 cars have been reversed. This is going to be an interesting one to watch, this second race.
You bet it is, particularly going down into those first two chicanes on the lap. There's always calamities, there's always controversy in those very, very tricky sections of the circuit, and when you mix up the order where faster drivers are trying to make their way through the field, well, it's going to be fireworks.
Now, I don't know if we were able to get the conditions graphic up on screen, but I could tell you that the track temperature has rocketed up for the second race. The first race you were looking at about 30 degrees Celsius. Here in the second race, 45.6 degrees it's showing on my end. So that track has got toasty, and you pointed it out, Peter. There's some, with it being an anti-clockwise track, you really load that front right corner.
Yeah, we might see more drivers taking one or two tyres then at the pit stops with these quite intense conditions here, and you would think that might not play in the favour of the Mercedes, who seem to be able to work the tyre a little bit more, and particularly the BMW as well is known for being quite aggressive on its tyres with that turbocharged, quite aggressively turbocharged power delivery. So, interesting stuff with that quite significant jump in track temperature.
Certainly is. It's around 16 degrees Celsius, and the drivers will be going a little bit slower here in this race, not just from those conditions, but also we're not going to have, this is no offence to the full reverse grid, but we've got the drivers who are maybe a second a lap slower towards the front of the grid here for this second race. So, certainly going to be intriguing to see this one, but we'll get ourselves set to be able to go through the grid for this second race of the evening here for round 21 of the World GT Championship Season 14. And it's going to be Paul Clist who starts on pole position then. That's a funny looking Olympus Esports car for Clist's there. But alongside Clist is Jesse Payne Wilkins, Adam Hedgecock and Lars van Rijn on row number 2, although the cars seem to be all mixed up there on screen. But we'll go through the cars and the grid anyway. Row number 3, Joe Newman and Dan Blackwell. Sophia Ridpath and Michael Gray. Paul Webster and Carol Pakalka sharing row number 5 ahead of Andy Archer and Daniel Sedgley. Jack Osborne and Tim Perry then on row number 7 with Dennis Grabowski, who's having to do another charge to the field alongside Arthur Thurtle on row number 8. Row 9 for Mark Fletcher and Adam Watson with Matt Loveridge and Alex Davidson on row 10. Row 11 for Jack Sedgwick and Ross McFarlane with James Fumay and Josh Thompson starting at the very back of the grid. So drivers pulling away for the very short procession and the warm-up of this race. Don't need to be warming up the tyres too much, but it's Paul Clist who's going to be starting us from pole position here in this one. And this is something new, I feel, for Paul to be at this end of the field. And let's see how they go with the run down towards Tamburello. Pace car is on pit road. We're set for round 21 of the World GT Championship. Clist pulls away in his Porsche, and we go green flag racing down towards turn number 1 and in towards Tamburello for the first time. 2-3 wide in places as we're heading into Tamburello. You want to sort yourselves out though into that chicane. A little bit of rubbing of paint further in your mid-pack. 2x2, through they go. They've been able to keep it clean so far as they head, Pume running a bit wide there towards the back, into the Villeneuve chicane, and Adam Hedgecock moving forward ahead of Joe Newman, although Newman is dropping down the order. Clist is going to lose the lead as well. We've got cars getting turned around at Tosa. Oh, is that Pakalka involved in all of that? It is.
And
Watson's
who's that?
around.
The altitude Porsches. Is that Watson?
Yeah.
Well, it really does. Just kind of Constantina up there at the Tosa hairpin. Very, very easy to get caught up in others' incidents, and that's exactly what happened there. And yeah, so it always happens on reverse grid races.
Well, your two leaders are still fighting it out. Jesse Payne-Wilkins and Paul Clist. They have sorted themselves out, and it's Jesse Payne-Wilkins who will lead. Look at that Mercedes, though, that purple Mercedes with the front end missing. That's going to be affecting its cornering ability. And the number 69 of Karol Pakalka is going to be feeling that one, and I think that might be an early trip to pit road then for Karol. We'll hopefully get a replay at some point of what happened at Tosa, but I think there was a lot to take on board there. But we'll cross the line, and look who's moved up into second place, and through all of that, Sophia Ridpath in that BMW, second place. This could be a big turnaround for the AM Championship leader.
Massive. This is a huge opportunity for Ridpath now to try and get not just a class win, but a massive result in terms of overall, because that's how many points you score is based on your overall position. Oh, it's Grabowski getting into it with Mark Fletcher as they go side by side through Villeneuve, and Grabowski just nails it up the inside there in that menacing black Porsche. Meanwhile, Paul Spear, I thought for Paul Clist started on pole, but he's getting a little bit swarmed here as well. Like you said, new experience for him.
Yeah, almost getting a bit bothered. Oh, and change for the lead. Ridpath's taking the lead here over Jesse Payne-Wilkins. So side by side, in through Piratella into Ackerman Arale, and into the lead goes Sophia Ridpath in that Olympus Esports BMW. So it is Ridpath from Wilkins, from Archer. Clist is dropping down the order. So something's happened at Ackerman Arale, and we've got more drama. The 555 of Jesse Payne-Wilkins, I think, has had a slow down penalty as well, because Jesse's fallen down.
Jesse Payne-Wilkins got nerfed by Andy Archer there. Andy Archer went for the move for second, and went wrong at the Fausto Grassini chicane.
Joe Newman has a meatball flag, meatball mechanical warning flag. Andy Archer's got a black flag, so has obviously not served a slow down penalty in time. And we'll have to head down pit road for a stop and hold. There goes Andy onto pit road for a stop and hold. Oh my goodness. Well, where do you look at the start of this one? We're almost going three wide further back. And Karol Pakalka, I'll tell you what, that damage mustn't be affecting that Mercedes Sedgwick. Oh, where on earth are you going there, Jack?
Oh, so again, it's Tamburello that gets the better of Jack Sedgwick, then tries to make a move around the outside and just simply runs out of road there. It does kink to the left ever so slightly, so that's an easy mistake to make.
I remember it was Valtteri Bottas and George Russell coming together in Formula One there because of that kink. They came together because of that kink, and it was a huge. That was a plane crash. That wasn't a small accident.
Yeah, a yard sale of bits from those Formula 1 cars. Luckily, the drivers were all right. But, what an opportunity here for Sophia Ridpath to try and get a result and try and land a punch back on Karol Pakalka, because the momentum's really been with Pakalka for the last few race meetings. But boy, oh boy, would this swing it back in her favour.
You think Pakalka joined the series at Road America, so missed the first 2 weeks of the championship, and was able to get an AM win in their second ever race in the championship. So we know that Pakalka's got some speed and got some talent there. It's been a really intriguing battle between those two in the AM championship. Worth pointing out, Tim Perry, Mark Fletcher and Dennis Grabowski, that's 11 places, 13 places and 10 places gained for those three drivers in third, fourth and fifth places. Ross McFarlane is on the charge though, up 15 places. James Bume is down in 13th with a gain of just 10 places, so Bume's finding it tougher going than Ross here.
Well, Pakalka, he's lost the front bumper entirely, but doesn't seem to be slowing him down all that much, amazingly. So that big Mercedes is tough, but Picalca will be looking for his very first opportunity to come to pit road when he knows that he doesn't have to take an extra pit stop, take his fast repair, fuel up and go for it again.
There was a big intake of breath from our producer, Dame Baird, then, so things just getting a little bit close between a few of you drivers out there on track, as one of the Altitude Esports cars, that's Lars Van Rijn, I believe. Yeah, Lars Van Rijn just having to get bullied out the way by Jack Sedgwick, who will be wanting to make some moves up the field. Picalca's lost the place now to Ross McFarlane. Ross has got to take advantage of having this jump at the start of the race here.
Yeah, very much an opportunity for him as well. And you'd think, well, he's got to get his way up to Grabowski and get past Grabowski. That is not going to be easy at all. Oh, a bit of contact there for Jason Payne-Wilkins with one of the with Daniel Sedgley, and Sedgwick comes straight through in the Ferrari.
Yep, so Sedgley and Sedgwick then work their way through. Adam Watson as well followed in their footsteps, although no contact with Adam, so the Altitude Esports paint department will have a quiet one so far in the second race of the evening. Andy Archer's making some moves behind them as well. There's battles aplenty all the way through, but it's worth pointing out Sophia Ridpath 2.2 seconds in the lead over Paul Webster. BMW versus Ferrari, and then there's a trio of Porsches in Tim Perry, Mark Fletcher and Dennis Grabowski in third, fourth and fifth places. I have a funny feeling here we go, this is what happened to Clist then. This was on the opening lap of the race.
Yeah, I just lost it in front of Dennis Grabowski there coming into Aqua Minerale. It's a tricky braking zone there. You're turning the car and braking at the same time and trying to straight line it as best you can, but still not quite easy to do. But what a shame there for Paul Clist, who's quite far down the order now, having started in pole position. But just coming up to, goodness me, we're not even 9 minutes into this race, but there's been a lot to digest over these first few stages.
Yeah, much like my my dinner tonight, it's a lot to digest, and certainly it has been a exciting start to this second race of the evening. Don't forget, mandated pit stop. So 45% fuel cell for these drivers, which means that you want to be hitting about 15 minutes into this race, Peter, before you can safely get to the end?
Yeah, at least I would say, yeah, to make absolutely sure. And that was sort of the very earliest we saw people coming in race one, but that's what Karel Picalca will certainly be looking at with that damage that he's got on his Mercedes right now.
As Mark Fletcher gets one over Tim Perry after Perry attempted to overtake Paul Webster into Tamburello, and Fletcher looks to the inside of Webster. Webster's wiggling. I have a funny feeling the two of them had the slightest of contact at Tosa. Webster drops down, so it's Fletcher, Perry and Grabowski all making their way past Paul Webster there.
Yeah, you wonder maybe if Paul Webster will be saying the name of that corner in a Cockney accent after that one. But they get through cleanly. Grabowski, he's making big moves as well. He's up to fourth overall now, and watch him coming forward. He's determined after starting from the back of the grid in race one.
Webster's lost another place now, this time to four-time champion Ross McFarlane, the championship contender for Pro, trying to work his way forward in this one. He's up to fifth. James Bumay's made it up into 11th now. So he's got ahead of Arthur Thurtle, who is an Altitude Esports driver. So I have a funny feeling at this stage of the season, Peter, that the Altitude Esports outfits, the various teams that they have, will all be saying, let's not make it difficult for James in this going now.
I don't think the team management would be doing their job unless that is the clear order and an order that's adhered to. This is a huge opportunity for Altitude Esports to win the Drivers' Championship here in the World GT Championship, and in the teams, they're right in there in the hunt with Pure Sims as well. So, and certainly, best way to add points to your team tally is get your strongest driver as far up the order as possible, because they're really the drivers with the pace to score the big points. But Boumet's done this all season. He hasn't had spectacular charges through the field in the reverse grid races. He's had slow but consistent and steady progress all race long, and usually by the end he's up there in the record.
Incredibly, Josh Thompson, the winner of the opening race, is in 6th place. He's got onto the back of this queue of cars that is being held up by Matt Fletcher and Tim Perry, although Fletcher's just easing away from his teammate of Perry, and they've got 4 seconds now to Sophia Ridpath. So Ridpath's just been able to focus on getting the lines right, getting the braking points right, and putting in fast laps. These drivers, they've all been squabbling away, and I could give you a 5-lap average: 43.6 for Ridpath, 44.0 as Ross McFarlane making a move on Dennis Grabowski.
Great opportunist move there from McFarlane. Just saw the door just open ever so slightly with a mistake from Grabowski, and he just pounced straight through. And watch for Thompson here. Remember, that Mercedes got great straight line speed. He's got a double bubble draft from McFarlane and from Grabowski. Grabowski fans out to the edge. That's clever from Grabowski. Kind of knows his fight isn't with McFarlane or Thompson, so he just thinks, right, give you the room and I'll just tuck in behind. And you know that Grabowski's got the pace to actually stick with these guys and really make that move forward.
Former World Championship licence holder, don't forget, Dennis Grabowski. So
Pro-Am.
Pro-Am. That fake silver you were talking about, Peter.
He's the Nico Verone of World GT, yeah.
The gap at the front has dropped down a little bit. I can tell you Matt Fletcher was 0.4 of a second quicker on that last lap alone. So I think now that Fletcher's got past Tim Perry, he's now going to start trying to charge down Sophia Ridpath at the front of the field. So intriguing to see how that goes for him. And he's going to be dragging a whole queue of cars along with him, with Tim Perry, Ross McFarlane, Josh Thompson, Dennis Grabowski, Paul Webster's there, Carl Pacalka, with half the front end of that Mercedes still missing. I don't know how, but has actually gained places in this race.
He's really stuck in. Really impressive stuff from Pacalka, second in the AM class right now, but his biggest rival, Sophia Ridpath, is out front at the moment, looking in a really strong position. Now, will she finish there? That's going to be a very, very tall order with McFarlane, Thompson, etc. Queuing up behind, but nevertheless, Ridpath has got a bit of an edge over Pacalka right now. Pacalka, he's surely just waiting for that earliest possible chance to come to pit road for his scheduled pit stop, to bring that schedule a little bit further forward and get the fast repair. He gets an instant repair. Every car has one instant repair to use per race.
I can tell you that 2 drivers have been on pit road after early incidents at the start of the race: Andy Archer and Dan Blackwell, who must have got caught up in that incident at Tosa. But yeah, Archer
tried to kind of put a half-hearted move really on Jesse Payne Wilkins at Cassini, and they tangled. Yeah,
that was it. Yes. We'll be moving on, but yeah, it's still AM leader is Ridpath, Pro-Am leader is Tim Perry, and Pro leader is Matt Fletcher. They're all first, second and third, but not in the order of class here. So we'll be looking at one of our incidents that's happened in this race so far in just a moment's time here, as in fact, here we go. This is Dan Blackwell. This is all on his own, just around. I think he's already had a pit stop at that stage and has slid round.
Yeah, that was at Piratella, and did a pirouette there at that very fast left-hander over the crest. So Grabowski has in fact lost the scent, interestingly, of Thompson and McFarlane, who are right onto the case now of Tim Perry, car number 83, who ran in a Ferrari previously, and he had a Ferrari flag up in his rig. He's moved to the Porsche, and he's got himself a Porsche flag to go with the Ferrari flag as Michael Gray comes to the pits.
Yeah, first of your top 10 to blink onto pit road. Ross McFarlane around the outside. And that is how you do the move around the outside at Tamburello. And now Tim Perry is trying his best with Josh Thompson coming up to him. Thompson's going to go around the outside of the first part, inside to the second part of Villeneuve. And now Tim Perry is a sitting duck for Dennis Grabowski here. Grabowski, we're going to see that light move? No, he backs out of it. He was thinking about it though, wasn't he, Peter?
He was, and I don't think Perry was in any mood to lose any more positions there, but McFarlane and Thompson go through, and their sights are now firmly locked into the 111 Altitude Esports Porsche of Mark Fletcher, who isn't making any, he's a pro class driver, he's not making any inroads whatsoever into Sophia Ridpath's lead at this time. So Sophia is driving beautifully at the front of the field in her BMW.
Last lap was about 3/10 gained for Fletcher, so it's closing, but it's
that's
not.
That's the start of it now, but it's been hovering around 3.5 seconds for the last several laps.
Yeah, so it's been quite steady and consistent. I mean, these lap times are suffering because of this hot weather. I mean, when you think the first race of the evening, we were dipping into the 1 minute 40s at the end, towards the end of the race. Here, 43s and 42s is the way of business because of that track temperature rising up. Tim Perry and James Bume head on to pit road. So is Bume trying what Thompson did in the first race and taking that little bit of an earlier stop? And like what happened with Bume in that first race as well, took that little bit of an earlier stop, got the pit stop done and got some clean air.
Bume has come to the pits there as well as Watson, so they both and saw the car going up on the jacks as well, so trying to get I think putting the tyres on with this track temperature is a very good idea. It's going to make sure you've got the tyre life for later in the race. If you try and do it on the same set of tyres, they're going to be well past it.
I think that's a long stop for Bume, 21 and a half seconds. I think that's a bit too long, is that? I think if you're doing a tyre change in this race, you just go for one tyre. Yeah. You go for that front right, perhaps.
Yeah. Interestingly, though, I wonder if Bume is just going for an absolute safety first approach. Doesn't want to be trying to hold on to a car that's tyres are completely gone by the end of the race, and maybe just wants to have that planted car underneath him and just bag the points. He came out with more points than any of his championship rivals in race 1. Doesn't need to do anything special here in race 2.
Although with the way that Ross McFarlane's driving in this second race up into third place, that gap has come down drastically between your leaders. Now Ridpath, it's really jumped down, hasn't it, Pete? That's nearly a second in the last lap or two here. So Ridpath, a 43.6 is this lap time, 43.1 for Mark Fletcher. So half a second as Grabowski, Webster and Karol Pakalka. That's going to be crucial for Pakalka because that means repairs can be made.
Yeah, and then he can really get a shift on with about half the race left. His car's going to feel the best it's ever felt after nursing a slightly damaged one to the end of the first stint there. But Fletcher not giving up easy here and going quite defensive there into Tosa and forcing McFarlane to go around the long way around if he wanted to, but Fletcher hanging on for now to second place with McFarlane and Thompson right in behind. We might see all three of them come into the pit lane here, and McFarlane and Thompson will be hoping to jump Fletcher here because they are losing a little bit of time. But this is kind of your net lead battle, isn't it, right now?
If I'm Ross McFarlane or Josh Thompson, I'm doing the opposite of what Fletcher's doing. If Fletcher stays out, I'm pitting. Yeah. I want to get some clean air here if I'm McFarlane or Josh Thompson. Yeah,
because this is costing McFarlane and Thompson a lot of time. I think Thompson's seen what's happening here and he's just going maximum fuel save to try and jump in the pit stops if he can, because he knows that it's just kind of a bit of a roadblock. Get all wide for Fletcher off.
No! That's championship contender Ross McFarlane, who's spun around. Fletcher's waiting for him. I mean, fair play to Mark to hold back and to let McFarlane come out in front, but it was a mistake by Fletcher. Now the question for me is, did Ross just run wide into him, or did Fletcher, sort of in his panic, steer too much and pinch back in?
Yeah, hard to say, really. Very, very hard to say, really, from the angle that we saw. But whatever happens, that's a complete disaster for Ross McFarlane. He was right in the hunt there for a race win. He was running the same pace as Thompson, which of course he didn't do in race 1. So he was right in there for the hunt to score a win and really make Boumé think about it for the 3 sprint races next week at Spa to close off the season. So oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. What it's kind of a story of Ross McFarlane's season, really. Let's take another look.
Yeah, so from above then, let's have a look. So Fletcher's made a mistake. He's braked a little bit too late. Oh, the car got a little bit squirrely as well, but McFarlane is pushing that car to the right there as well, isn't he? It's hard.
It's really bad luck. That's just bad
luck.
I don't think you can really put that on either driver. Yeah, I think that's just really bad fortune. It was a mistake from Fletcher. He definitely did not do that maliciously.
No.
Absolutely certain of that. And McFarlane couldn't really turn any tighter than that. He was sort of in the middle of the road. So, yeah, that's just an unlucky thing. And again, comes back to the kind of rhythm of the season. James Boumé, sometimes you say if you fall in muck and come out of roses. James Boumé not even fallen in the muck in the first place. He's just been smelling of roses all season, whereas McFarlane he's kind of had quite mixed fortunes in some races. So that's a real shame, but it's not done till it's done. Pit stop still to come, and fair play to Mark Fletcher as well for waiting on McFarlane and giving him the corner.
This is the look from Thompson.
Did McFarlane get into Fletcher on the brakes?
You can't see from that.
You can't see from that angle, of course, but no. He was very close anyway.
Yeah. So was
Fletcher...
Is that the reason that Fletcher did miss the corner slightly? Well, either way, Fletcher has done an horrible thing and held back and allowed McFarlane to go ahead again. So that's how things have gone here. What that does mean is that McFarlane in 5th place is now 11 seconds off of your race leader, Sophia Ridpath. Fair credit to Ridpath. We're past the halfway point of the race and people still aren't within, they're just now getting within 2 seconds of her.
It's been a superb drive. I think her drive of the season, actually, for Sophia Ridpath, and because she's had some top quality drivers behind her who haven't been able to bring that gap down. It's only now runaway race 1 leader Josh Thompson who's now actually bringing that gap down consistently and quickly. Everybody else, there you go. So Sophia Pitt's in the lead. Fantastic stint. Really, really impressive.
That's very clever from Sophia there, because she could see that Josh is catching up at a high rate of knots. Why put yourself under the pressure of having somebody like that bearing down on you? Just get into the pits, get your pit stop done.
Couldn't agree more. I think that was a super piece of quick thinking there from Sophia Ridpath. And right now, Pacalca, he's kind of in the midst of a very busy, very angry pack. So Pacalca's got a pretty perilous run to the end of the race, whereas Ridpath, you can hopefully get back out in a bit of clean air and keep going with that great pace that she's got in that BMW M4 today. Lots of pit stops going on right now. Fletcher in, Turtle in, Loveridge in, Lars van Rijn in.
Yeah, there's a load of them. I'm just looking down. James Boumé is actually right behind Carol Pacalca, who is right behind Adam Watson, who is right behind Mark Fletcher, who's right behind Michael Gray. It is a fair queue of cars all fighting it out for 11th place right now. Jack Sedgwick, as you mentioned, has been on pit road, had his pit stop done. He's come out behind Paul Webster in all of this. There's a move to the inside. That's James Boumé on Carol Pacalca. And following through are you? Arthur Vertel trying the best to follow into that position, into Piratella. Are they going to back out of it? Yeah.
Yeah, great entry speed there from Pacalka and Turtle. Yeah, he had absolutely no option but to back out of it. It's a blizzard of Altitude Esports cars here, all running the Porsche, of course. And I think that collective mileage. Oh, Josh Thompson in with the jacks up. Do the BMWs, the Pure Sims cars take tyres? No, they do not. Interesting.
I think Josh has just taken one tyre there. 13 seconds was the pit stop.
Clever.
Right, here we go across the line, because Sophia Ridpath is actually coming down pit straight right now to finish her lap. And where's this going to put her out? It's going to put her out into second place. There you see her coming into shot. So Ridpath has only lost one place in that pit stop cycle. The rest of them are going to have to make the moves on track on Sophia.
And Pacalka, with everyone now pitted, Pacalka's in 14th place. So he will score, if he finished where he is right now, he would score the points for 14th position. If Sophia was able to hang on where she is, she would score the points for second position. So yes, Pacalka got the upper hand in race one, but this would be not just a retaliation, but very much a decisive blow to win this meeting, if you like, and to increase Ridpath's championship lead into the final round, as Pacalka getting in a tangle there with Pro Class driver Arthur Turtle. So Ridpath's now got to be really careful though, because the cars up behind her, Grabowski, super quick, Davidson likewise, Perry she had the measure of in the first stint, Jack Sedgwick, very quick, but Sedgwick's 7 seconds behind with 12 minutes to go, so she might be safe there, but it's Grabowski and Davidson she's got to be concerned about over the next 12 minutes.
She keeps this pace up though. I mean, Grabowski's fastest lap was the last lap. Well, Ridpath's pace before a pit stop was similar pace, 1:43. So I wouldn't write her out of second place, especially if you've got Grabowski and Davidson fighting it out amongst themselves, because Davidson's right there on the tail of the Porsche as we head on down to turn number 1 and then into Tamburello. And Davidson to the inside, and I think Grabowski, backing out of it. The Pro-Am leader doesn't need to fight that position. He's got a solid lead in the Pro-Am Championship. Yeah, why not just say, go on, Alex, you forge your path.
Yeah, no, that's again very clever from Grabowski in that Porsche. He's going to be outscoring Adam Watson, his nearest rival, quite significantly. So yeah, he's exactly in the position where he needs to be, and hugely impressive run from Grabowski, because remember he did start race 1 at the back of the grid after some sort of issue during qualifying. He did set a time in qualifying, but it was not an indicative time, so there's something happened, maybe crashed or something during qualifying. We don't know, but for Ridpath, she's got 3 seconds back to Davidson, 10.5 minutes to go. I mean, even if Davidson gets by, she can hold off Grabowski, an overall podium. That's how you put yourself in the driving seat for an AM Championship with a round to go.
Because I can get to see it, I can tell you there are 2 drivers out on the track currently that are 1 incident point away from a drive-through penalty. So there's going to be some what's known in the football trade as twitchy bum time, I think, for a few of those drivers out there.
And here we talked about track limits earlier. Here at Imola, it's a really quirky circuit in terms of track limits. There's certain areas where you feel you can take big liberties, others perhaps not, and you can just pick up incident points. You get 1 incident point for every break of track limits, and if you have any heavy contact with another driver, and that doesn't need to be you instigating it either, that's 4 incident points, so that can push you over that edge without you even trying. So yeah, we might well find out who those drivers are in the next 9.5 minutes.
Yeah, as we head on through, so there you see Sophia Ridpath just dropping back from Josh Thompson and lapping about 0.7 of a second that last lap slower than Thompson, which when you consider Thompson, a World Championship quality driver, versus Ridpath, who is ranked as an AM Championship driver here, you've got to give Sophia some credit for the pace that she's holding there at the front and able to keep Alex Davidson a comfortable distance behind with 9 minutes to go in all of this as well.
Quite remarkable. Quite remarkable, I think, drive of the season for Sophia, and this shows real character as well. I mean, race 1 didn't quite go to plan as such. Certainly Picalca was quite a bit up the road, but also coming off the back of a really disappointing meeting yesterday in the Porsche Sprint Challenge. Okay, in a different car, but it's amazing. It's a very mental game, motorsport, but particularly sim racing. She bounced back from that in a car that she's clearly super comfortable with. And we talked about this throughout the season, didn't we, Paul, about how some drivers have chopped and changed cars and have to go through that kind of growing pains with the car. Sophia's stuck to her guns with the BMW and had all the setup data, etc., and lots of mileage in the car, and that's shown.
Certainly has. And you've more got a fight for 7th place going on, I think it's safe to say, because Paul Webster has got a queue of cars. We've got 4 Altitude Esports cars there, and there's also one of his full tilt teammates in Michael Gray in the middle of all of that. In fact, he's getting James Bume making a move down the inside of Gray at Tosa, and out the corner they go, uphill once again. So Webster's leading. What are we going to say? It's a blizzard of Altitude Esports cars?
Definitely, that's the collective now in the blizzard of Altitude Esports cars. Oh, Michael Gray getting into it though there with
Adam Watson. Who else?
It might become an avalanche here in a second.
Well, that was a number of those Altitude Esports cars going past there on Michael Gray. That Audi, not the favoured car this season, it's safe to say. It's the only one out on the track today. And doing a good job though, to be fair. 11th place. Has lost 3 places from where he started, of course, with that full reverse grid. James Bume now in his, as you said, methodical move through the field, up 14 places now into 9th place, and he's just 3 places behind Ross McFarlane, so damage limitation now for James.
He doesn't need any more than that, and he's got he's got an ally ahead of him in Tim Perry, who I don't think will make life particularly difficult for him. Tim Perry's got no championship axe to grind in the Pro-Am class, so again, for Altitude Esports, for their management, they've got to say, swap over guys, let Bume through. You've got to use every advantage you have at your disposal, and this is an easy one with 5.5 minutes or so to go. Bume got to get through here on Perry and keep moving up the field.
Jesse Payne Wilkins is the first of your drivers to get a drive-through penalty, as there's the swap around between Perry and Bume. And Jesse Payne Wilkins wasn't one of the 2 drivers that I mentioned was on 19 instant points, so those 2 drivers are doing a good job of managing it in the second half of this race. We've got 5 minutes remaining here. It's still Josh Thompson who leads this one then over Sophia Ridpath in second place. Alex Davidson third, with Dennis Grabowski in 4th. So your best placed AM is in 2nd, best placed Pro-Am is in 4th. Then after Grabowski, your next best Pro-Am is the driver heading this train of cars, Paul Webster, currently holding 7th ahead of James Bume. Tim Perry is the 3rd step of the Pro-Am podium here on 9th place. Carol Picalca, 14th overall, currently 2nd in AM, with Lars van Rijn, the final step of the AM podium, in 18th right now. So that's how things stand at the moment, with 4.5 minutes to go. Ridpath is now 6.5 seconds off of Josh Thompson. I think the dam has definitely burst now for Sophia in terms of the pace to Josh. but still about a second between her and Alex Davidson, and then still a good sort of 4 seconds between her and Dennis Grabowski.
I think if you're Sophia Redpath, you let Davidson go, I think, because if you try and defend too much, you're going to be straight into the clutches of Grabowski and then Cedric and then McFarlane. I think if you let Davidson go, Grabowski's not going to catch you, I think. So yeah, Sophia's driven very well at the front of the field. Also, you got to, Karol Picalka was definitely, nothing he could do about that incident on lap 1. He was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, no fault of his own, and the way he fought with no front end on the car, kept his pace up, pitted, took repairs, and he's in 14th overall. And remember though, he started further back in the pack from Sophia as well, so there's been a really good drive from Picalka as well, certainly not giving away a free kick anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Here we go then. Ridpath and Davidson in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Looking at James Bume, who's right on the tail of Paul Webster. That's for 7th place overall in this race in the main screen there. Davidson's not making the move into Tamburello. That surprises me. As Bume and Webster, they do switch. Webster backed out of that one. Little flash of the headlights to say, there you go, mate. Of course, Webster is no stranger to the Altitude Esports team. But, Bume moving through. Now just 1 place behind his championship rival of Ross McFarlane.
Dreamland. Just like that, you think that Bume was nowhere, but just piece by piece just picks his way through the field. And yeah, you have to remember, of course, that McFarlane was very unlucky to get kind of tipped around and lost 10 seconds maybe with that incident at Ravazza. But nevertheless, Bume again just relentless. In very much true Ross McFarlane style of old, how he won his championship by just being relentlessly there all the time and makes him so difficult to beat, and that's the kind of strategy that Bume's had and delivered upon in this season 14 of the World GT Championship. So yeah, she's hanging on. Davidson's not getting by.
Yeah, so I wonder. I know, but I'm not going to say. I do wonder if Davidson's maybe on the limit here, perhaps, and doesn't want to risk any sort of contact maybe affecting him being able to get to the end of this race. Across the line they go. We should be on to the final lap of this race. Ridpath's going a little bit defensive into the middle of the road, and then goes back to the racing line. Davidson, such a better run through that second part of Tamburello. Should get the slingshot out of the corner. Looking to the inside. Ridpath, I'm opening it up a little bit, and she does. This is going to work out nicer though for Davidson. On corner exit, down into Tosa. No moves yet, Peter.
She's just fearless, absolutely fearless there. I like the sort of burnouts going down the straight, just coming back and forth, slipping and sliding around, and yeah, fully deserved there for Josh Thompson. Some fantastic driving, and yeah, nobody could touch him.
Just 2 more drivers to finish this race. Car number 5, Andy Archer and Paul Clist. Paul Clist, oh dear, it's tough when you're starting from pole position when you're not used to being in that place, and that mistake into Acqua Minerale really did tell, didn't it?
Yeah, it did, unfortunately. But he gets it home, gets the finish, gets to the end, and more experience under the belt there for Paul Clist.
So there we go. That is going to be the end of that race. Let's take you through your provisional race results here for round 21 of the World GT Championship. Josh Thompson then, back-to-back victories, and he also won last week as well. So that's 3 victories in a row for the Team Redline driver. He wins by 9.5 seconds over the Pure Sims Esports driver of Alex Davidson. Sophia Ridpath for Olympus Esports, good mature drive to keep it up at the front there and to finish in the top 3, and that is a great result for her AM Championship. Jack Sedgwick is 4th overall and 3rd in the pro standings for Inex Racing, ahead of your Pro-Am victor, Dennis Grabowski, the privateer, 5th place overall, ahead of Ross McFarlane and James Bume. Paul Webster and Tim Perry then are 2nd and 3rd in Pro-Am for Full Tilt V Motorsports and Altitude Esports White respectively for those two. And then Matt Fletcher rounds out the top 10. In 11th, it's Michael Gray ahead of Adam Watson with Daniel Sedgley in 13th. Karol Pacalka, very, very solid drive considering that for almost half the race had no front end to his car. That's Full Tilt V Sim Sports, 2nd place in AM, 14th overall ahead of Arthur Thurtell, Jack Osborne and Matthew Loveridge. Lars van Rijn picks up the final podium spot in AM in 18th ahead of teammate Adam Hedgecock. Andy Archer in 20th place. 21st for Paul Clist ahead of Dan Blackwell. Jesse Payne Wilkins did not end up taking the checkered flag, and one retirement at the start of the race, should I say, Joe Newman. Well, that was an intriguing round to the championship, but we have got a driver joining us, and he loves to come for a chat with us. Peter, take it away with your double race winner, Josh Thompson.
Josh, that was an absolutely fantastic performance there in both races. How you feeling right now?
Yeah, pretty happy about it. Especially race 2. I didn't expect to be able to win that one. I thought it was going to be a bit more of a bit of a fight with Ross at the end, because in race 1, the BMW came back at me at the end. Same with James. So I was looking forward to it at the end. Obviously, a shame what happened to Ross, but end of the day, I can't really complain with 2 wins.
Definitely not. I mean, in GT racing, both in virtual and outdoor world, as soon as somebody's out the front driving away, they're like, oh, that car's got the great balance of performance. And often it's never really that true. Tell us about the Mercedes, where you're the one at the wheel. Tell us how it measures up to the rest of the cars at the moment.
I think it depends on the weather and the track. It's very track dependent at the moment with how the cars all react. So you saw it at Fuji, for instance. The Porsche was like another level once you got midway through a stint. The Porsche is always very good when it gets a lower fuel. So as you saw at the end of race 1, for instance, James started going back at the end of the race. Like the gap went from 4.5 to around 3. Like just the relentless pace of the Porsche. The BMW is always very good on its tyres, so that comes back at the end. So I just had to, for me tonight, I just knew I had to maximise the first half of the race, the first stint, should I say, in both races. So you saw race 1, I just kept going and kept pushing to get the most out of the car, because I knew it was going to drop off at the end. So I played that to my factor. Race 2, I had to go completely different, because the cars are very, I think you mentioned it before, the Merc is very bad on the front tyres. Especially here, it kills the right front. So I have to be careful of that. So it's not too bad here. I think the Merc was very good around here, don't get me wrong. So, but he's also had bad tracks like Fuji, for instance. So we'll have to see going forward.
Yeah, see, there you go. From someone behind the wheel, always gives the best, shall we say, analysis of what the car can do. I mean, final question for you, Josh. It's been a superb couple of rounds here as well. Are we going to get you for a full season next time? Hopefully,
I'd like to. I do miss it. That's why I came back. It does help with other things, racecraft-wise, just being able to avoid things a bit better. I made a few silly mistakes in the last few major races, which is the reason why I wanted to come back anyway, because it just helps you fine-tune little things you wouldn't be able to get in a normal situation. No matter how much testing you do, this is probably the best testing you could do for like a sprint race format or an endurance race of trying something with the car or a different fuel approach. So, yeah, I probably will try and come back for next season, hopefully.
Well, that's music to our ears. Josh, well done on 2 fantastic wins, and see you next week at Spa.
Thank you, guys.
Wow, there we go. From the horse's mouth himself, Josh Thompson, and it's always great insight to hear from Josh to give us his thoughts on the car. But what a week this has been, Peter. It's been certainly had plenty of thrills in this one, and not too many spills.
No, I think that was a fantastic meeting. Really good quality racing from all. Lots of storylines, lots of great performances out there. And it was good to hear from Josh there that, yes, it looks like when you see the same car win in all three classes, you think, oh, it's just got this advantage that makes it easy. But as Josh eloquently explained there, it's not as simple as that at all. Yes, there's things that it can do well and things that it can't do well, and you've got to work around those. And when you hear someone at World Championship level explain what you have to look out for and work around, it shows you that it's just no magic carpet ride at all.
No, absolutely not. And also what's not a magic carpet ride is the championship now, because that was the last of the opportunities to have a bad round. That was the final opportunity to have a drop score. We're going to the championship finale next week. There's no drop scores there. Whatever you score, you take to your final tally.
And it's 3 sprint races at Spa, a proper driver circuit, and a circuit where just the tiniest mistake and your race is over. So, and it could even be that for certain drivers, your championship could be over. Big pressure on our drivers. I can't wait for next week for the season finale.
Yeah, absolutely. Make sure you join us next week for Spa-Francorchamps, the championship finale. It is at 8 p.m. British time, which don't forget the clocks do change this coming weekend in the UK. So make sure you check your time schedule, your local favourite time website to find out what time that is in your area. For us, it's easy. It's 8 o'clock in the evening, so make sure you do join us for that one next week. But what a drive and what a performance from the Team Redline driver of Josh Thompson. It's 2 from 2 tonight. It's 3 from 3 for the last 2 weeks. Can he get some more wins next time at the Spa? We'll have to wait until next week to find out. From everybody here, from Paul Smith, Peter Mackay, Dane Baird behind the scenes on production today, thank you very much, and it's good night.